Hey guys, this video is about what constitutes both a balanced and unbalanced state of mind in you from your dog's perspective. So if that sounds a little complicated, let me explain what I mean by that. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you know how often I address anxiety issues in people and how that tends to trigger certain poor behaviors in dogs. It's almost automatic. It's something that I look for all the time when a client or even a student comes to me and they have issues with their dogs. Many times I won't notice it myself because obviously the student or the client is not showing me all who they are. I wouldn't be able to pick it up on my own, but what I'll do is I'll flat out ask my student or my client if they suffer with any kind of anxiety issues of their own. And in most cases, honestly, they say yes, and they realize that that's what they have, and they realize that when they have bouts of anxiety, that their dog actually misbehaves in certain ways, such as being overprotective, overreactive, not good with other members of the pack at that moment. There's a whole list of maladies that can happen when we have anxiety. But it's not as simple as that, and I was reminded of that recently at a consultation, because I was in a situation where one of my clients has a dog that has a lot of issues where they're more reactive in the home than they are on the street, although sometimes they have some issues there as well. But typically when a dog misbehaves in the home, it's usually related to some kind of dynamic in the family. Either, in this particular case, I actually thought it might have something to do with the kids, because they're young kids and they're fired up all the time, and so sometimes that can trigger bad behavior in a dog, because the dog, that creates anxiety in the dog. So I thought that might be one of the issues. So I asked my client if she had any anxiety issues, and she said no. Well, I'm not going to argue with my client. Sometimes not everybody has anxiety issues. I mean, it's a given. So when she told me that, she was very clear about it, that that's not one of the things that was going on with her. But what I noticed over time, while I was there at the consult, that she seemed wired, and I use that in the nicest way, that she has a very upbeat personality. She talks kind of quickly. She's, for lack of a better term, she's kind of fired up a lot when she explains things. And so I realized that this is something that's been happening over the years, where I've noticed this in people, and I've kind of wondered, well, if they're saying they're not anxious, what could it be? But what I've come to the conclusion of is that when we are fired up, or even if we have like a type A personality where we tend to be really direct and really forthcoming in the way that we talk, that we are sort of in an adrenalized state at that time. So all of those things that we are actually representing, from the dog's perspective, the same way that the dog would perceive anxiety, if that makes any sense. So the dog is actually triggered by the person's very personality, because they are seeing it in the same way that they would see an adrenalized state, because the dog doesn't know, they're not as evolved as a species to be able to figure out the exact nuance of what's happening, right? So when that happens, we have to really bring a very calm presence. And I know that's easier said than done, but I wanted to explain to my client how I did it, because I'm not actually normally, well, I've become more and more so, but I'm not always a calm person myself. It's something that I had to learn how to create because of the responsibility that I have to remain calm, because I have a pack of dogs. So I can't bring this fired up, crazy energy in with my dogs, or I will upset the balance of the pack. And so what I tried to explain to her is that she needed to bring a sort of a command presence that was different than what was her nature. She had to actually bring something that she wasn't. And so you probably heard me refer to acting as if. Sometimes you have to act as if you're something that you're not until you actually become that thing. So you can have different sides to your personality. You don't have to always be assertive. You don't have to always be anxious. You don't have to always be wired or fired up, but you can still be all those things and still be yourself, if that makes any sense. So the way I did it when I was at this consult is I had to think about it, because it's so automatic for me when I need to bring a very calm command presence to a dog. I had to think about how I do it, because it's not something that I actively sort of strategize out. It's just that I become this way. And what I realized that I was doing is that I'm actually playing out what the situation is going to be like with the dog in different scenarios. So in this particular case, we did some things with the dog that triggered the dog normally. And what I did was I just watched it in my mind's eye play out, and I saw how successful it was going to be, that the dog was actually going to remain calm. And I even thought that maybe one time he wouldn't be calm and then I could bring him back into calm. And when I started the exercise, it actually played out exactly like I thought it was going to. And it didn't surprise me. It surprised my client, but it didn't surprise me at all because I'm used to things playing out like this. So it's another one of those act as if moments where sometimes we have to bring a side of ourselves that isn't always who we are, but it's who we can become under certain scenarios. So for most of us, for parents, for example, a parent probably brings a certain kind of demeanor with their children that they don't bring when they go to work, and the other way around. So just something to think about, a little food for thought on your Sunday. Okay, guys, hope you're having a great day. Love you. See you. Bye.